Hi, my name is Sally Bernard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live 888-994-4995, Studio A. And now onto the show. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to my show. Thank you for tuning in. We've got a great show today. It's all about signs and what we see and how we interpret them ourselves and how they're showing us signs. My book. Just want to show you my book, Call Me Zena. It gives my story of everything that happened to me. This was about 20 years ago, so it's like it gives you in details part of my dreams that I was having. Today, when I look back, I have learned also myself so much from there. I think even doing my show, we were just talking about that. I'm learning as I'm talking, so carry on listening, ask me the questions, and I'll try and have all the answers that I can do my very best. And very often I get validation that what I have said comes about. So here we go, on with the show.
Do you want to read anything from your book?
I'm going to leave that this week. Do something different, right?
Okay. You were telling me over the weekend about some validating signs that you received. What was that like?
I did. And I think there was a message for you in that too. Because very often we let things just go, oh, that was coincidence. Of course, we've had shows on that before. But today I really see it as synchronicity. And even myself, as much as I talk about it, when I see certain things sometimes, I mean, I don't know for sure. I have this feeling that, and I can interpret it, and I get names, so I know I'm being spoken to, but it's still nice to have a lot more evidence. So I'm sitting at home. This was 2 days ago. I'm all by myself. And for people, my viewers right now, they know who Aldo is, I'm sure. He was my guide here. Adamir, who is in my book, is Adamir. And I'm talking to him, just like he's in the room, because he used to come over to my place, and actually he used to have a room in my home where he rented from me. So we were very, very friendly for about 17 years, and we would talk, and he would show me sometimes where he used to sit on the sofa if he got up, or he would been out for the day. He'd tell me somebody was in my room, and I could actually see since it's leather, the indentation of the person that he was talking about. It wasn't him. And I used to say, oh my goodness, in those days I was a little scared. I said, oh my gosh, who's in the room? However, I'm sitting there and I said, Aldo, I'm talking to him like he was in the room, please show yourself to me. I'm not scared, whatever you do, please, you know that by now. I just want to see your presence. If you want to show me yourself or something that I'll know it's definitely you. Well, at that point, I looked over to my leather sofa and there was an imprint, absolutely. So I'm going, well, thank you. But I'm still thinking, well, maybe it isn't, and I'm looking at it. I'm going, no, this is definitely an imprint. But I'm not 100% certain. I'm thinking maybe I didn't sit on there. So now I'm thanking him, just like he was in the room. Thank you so much for all that you taught me. It's meant so much to me. I'm learning so much all the time. I stopped talking, forget that I've had this conversation with him. Suddenly, Alexa, from out of the blue, I never said Alexa, and she said to me, thank you so much. That was so nice. To myself, I had nobody to talk to. I'm going, oh my God, did I actually hear that? So continuation of this, you recently lost your dad. But I can hear someone saying to me, as I hear, because I hear voices, it's telepathy, tell Dawn, tell Dawn. So I do this long text, which I never do. It was a Saturday, right? I'm explaining the whole situation in the text because I don't want to bother you. And then you come in this morning and you told me that you were, and I ended up by saying, I was told to tell you this message, your dad is okay. And the first thing you said to me this morning was...
Right, I showed you that picture of the joy.
Yes. That's right, which was a sign, which we're talking about.
Literally a sign.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to go into the whole situation, but it was a word that you had been mentioning and you saw joy on there. And then I had not interrupted you, but the text came just when you were having a big shower.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
and it was just perfect timing. So not only do we get the signs, we get the timing is always correct on that. And I think that's where the validation is, a lot of that, as I'm saying it. It's in the timing that we receive it. We're more than ready to receive it. It was unexpected when I heard Alexa talking to me. I couldn't even take it in at first. I know I never said Alexa. My TV was on, but it was down. And just and very often I mention her name all the time, and sometimes she doesn't answer me at all.
Do people need to talk like we're speaking to the other side, or can we think it and they hear us?
You can actually think about it, but this is another thing that happened. I'm just remembering now. I watch Gaia quite a bit, with anybody that my listeners probably know, or YouTube, on the subjects that I talk about, because it's interesting to hear another point of view. I switched on Gaia, and guess what Gaia was about? It was all about how they can communicate. I forgot to tell you this, communicate through electricity, which I knew anyway, but the validation just after I'd heard Alexa give me that message. So that cannot possibly be. So why am I saying all this and being excited about it? Because I do believe it, but it's so nice to hear these validations. And any listeners that are listening to this program, look for signs, look for things that, mine was just right in my face right there, but they are around us and they do happen. And when we're ready, we see them. We've talked about that in dreams, or is it synchronicity or coincidence? They're there. And you know what? Once you start with this, it's like with us, when someone wants to hear more of what maybe I'm saying, they want to continue listening. But if someone said to me, no, I'm not interested in this subject at all, I would stop talking. So I do believe that on the other side, they do the same. But it's not that they stop. They always are guides. We've always got people around us. But they may not give us as many. That I'm not sure of, but because if we're not looking, somebody else might be. So they'll go to the person that they know is interested in this.
Now, we have people that are spiritual, like ascension guides, higher guides.
Yes.
And then we have our loved ones on the other side that are different types of guides.
Well, yes, because in fact, I mention it in my book, on one of my travels, my astral projection travels, I had my guide, which I really didn't know very much about this at all. My main guide, so to speak, was there, not Aldo, who was here in physicality. And he gave me an assistant. So now that I know much more, there's different levels, even as I believe, on the other side, which Alda had told me about. So we're there, but there are people that are higher, which maybe we call angelic beings or whatever we want to talk about. That it's not that they're higher, it's that let's say they do understand more in our terminology. So they're going to guide us on a slightly different level. So if you talk, and you have, say, a problem. I mean, many people do talk. There are certain guides or angels or archangels that are there for a specific purpose, for whatever your subject is that you're talking about. So that kind of explains it anyway.
Then you have to find the signs. I think, Freddie, you have people that wrote in questions.
Well, I was a little lax.
No, she was a little lax.
Because I was in New York. And it was difficult.
She was in New York.
And it was very crowded.
And she was very crowded.
And I wasn't
But I wanted to touch briefly on today's subject of signs.
Mm-hmm.
How we receive them is a question that I have. Do you walk around seeing signs? Do you go to sleep seeing signs? Do you have conversations with people and see signs? How do you see what you define
That's a
as
great
sign?
question, Freddie, because I think we see them in many, many different places. But the main part of that question that I think is important is be aware that there are signs around us. And that's coming to me very strongly, because they can put something right in front of you and you may not realize. But if you open yourself up, it can come in a dream, it can come on a plaque, it can come on the TV, it can come on Alexa, which she did that, which was incredible. So they're there. It depends what we see. They're giving us signs however they can, as far as I can see. But it's strange, because I did turn that program on directly after that happened, and they did talk about the electricity and how they come through, which I've known, because that's not the first time. But that one was incredible, with Alexa actually thanking me.
Can people meeting people be a sign?
Absolutely, yes, because if a lot, which I'm just realizing, goes in the timing, because you can meet someone and it may not, I believe everybody has something actually, but we don't take notice of everybody, of what they say. But if you're thinking about something and that person you meet, say, within a few hours of whatever, or right away of what your thoughts were, and they're talking about a specific thing that you were thinking about, how can you deny that? I mean, it's happened many times. It happens to us a lot. So whether it was a good or bad sign, I don't know, but it's something that you had interest in. So yes, they come in many different ways, definitely.
Well, sometimes you meet somebody who's looking for a sign or looking to have something point them in the right direction. So you may think that it's a sign for you, it may be a sign for them, or it may be a sign for both.
It may even be a sign for the person that hasn't even entered the conversation standing next to you.
True.
It depends how we interpret that. They're there for, I would say they're there for us to interpret. They know what I mean, they can't, as far as I know, we have free will, but they can't really interfere on our path, but they can tell us certain things. They can do that, but I don't think they can change, because I believe we choose where we're going and what we do. But they can guide us. They guide us. And what better way to guide us sometimes is with a sign. If you're thinking about, as simple as you're thinking about someone and the phone rings. I mean, that happens a lot of times. That happens everybody seems to have had that story at some time or other. That I believe, with everything else, is we bring that to us. We bring it to us when we need it. It's there. It's up to us how we want to interpret it.
And what do you do with people that ask signs why? Always with the why. If a sign comes along and you accept the sign as a sign, and you're going to sit there, you're going to learn something of it, at the end of the day, by asking why, does that diminish it from being a sign?
In our minds, yes, it was still a sign.
In everybody's mind.
No, because a lot of people, like now, I really take notice of signs. Was I always that way? No, not necessarily.
But the signs were always there. That
they
you
were
took
always
notice.
there, but I didn't understand. I think the key to this is to begin to understand and open up to things that we don't understand.
But that doesn't mean they weren't there.
Oh no, they were always there, Freddie. Signs are always there. It's up to us. But they'll all, in my mind, in my world, signs are around us all the time. But they'll bring them more forward. Is there somebody here?
Yes.
I mean, a sign. Is this a sign?
Sabrina, come.
Is this a sign? Sabrina?
Sabrina's here. Sabrina, oh
That's
boy.
my dog. She's here. Aldo, love my dog.
That's Sabrina.
Oh,
Sabrina White Horse.
She's not here. Oh, okay. So signs are around us, yes.
It's just noticing them, like the one I told you about, the literal street sign.
Yes.
To me, that was not only validation that the universe hears me. It's kind of a sense of humor that there's like literally a street sign, but it was also more of the placement meant Mom's in the right place right now.
It's the same sign that through a message I gave you,
Right.
a symbol and a sign just before your dad passed away. If
Yes,
you don't
you
mind,
did.
do you mind mentioning
No.
that at all? Okay, I said to you, he had not passed, and I
Right.
certainly didn't know too much about the situation. I knew he wasn't well, and that maybe he was going to go into assisted living of some kind. So it wasn't from me, but I saw the Star of David, and I said, when you see that, this is what they were telling me, he's in the right place. So I put my interpretation on that, thinking he was going to go into some assisted living with the Star of David above it. You know, for the rest of the story,
Right,
yeah.
so I knew that meant he was going to pass and
Yes.
go to Menorah Gardens with
That's
the Star
right,
of
where
David.
the Star
So
of David was there.
I knew that. So it was understanding the signs. But people will say, but Sally, you're a psychic. You see signs all the time.
Yeah, but I don't know when someone's going to...
But how do other people, me
They
or Freddie or
they
Janet,
knew.
see signs?
Somebody or himself knew. And I could interpret that through a sign. It's not like someone said to me. I think it was a more kinder, gentler way to put it, actually, because if I heard a message, your dad's going to pass in 3 days, I don't think I'd even want to tell you.
Right.
So they did it in a way that it was gentle and nice, knowing he was going to be in the right place when you saw that sign. That was actually really, you know, I'm sorry you lost your dad, but we have that memory of that message, you know.
Right, it was
Yeah.
a preparation.
It was a preparation.
Jay,
yeah.
do you ever get signs?
Probably, but I don't really, like, I guess I don't notice them.
So that's good, and I'm glad that you said that, because that's really what we're talking about too. Here, I'm sure I had plenty before I tuned into this, but it's a start. Just even hearing that maybe people from just because we don't know or see them doesn't mean that they're not there. So just knowing that helps anybody that's on that same path, which we've all been on that path.
I guess I understand, and I believe that, there are people who are, watching over us,
right,
wherever they are. If there were signs, I just don't know exactly what it would be.
But just by opening up, Jay, I think that's important for anybody that's listening. To keep an open mind, that's all I can say. And perhaps there is more than which you obviously are, because we're talking about it and you mentioned a little bit. It doesn't have to be that it's taken me 20 years to be able to do what I'm doing little by little, and that's what my guide showed me. But the fact is just to start a journey. You don't know where it's going to go, and it may not be the right timing too. Timing is very important. I think there is no time, funnily enough, on the other side. It's like me saying, call me Zena, and my name is Sally, right? It's the same thing. But it's good to open up to something, just to know that there is something, a little, be it religion, be it God, doesn't matter. Just to know that there's something more outside of ourselves.
And there's certain things that say they're signs, like a butterfly,
yeah,
right? Or a white feather.
Yes. I'm finding a lot of white feathers. My car has got so many white feathers in it right now.
That is just people trying to see things in just normal stuff and being
like a chicken lost its feathers.
Yeah, well, just a few weeks ago when I went down to meet my friend in Melbourne Beach, I had to walk to the train station because I didn't have it was pouring with rain, so I had my head down, and I was, this is ridiculous. I've got no umbrella, and I've got to get on a train soaking wet, and right there by my foot was a white feather. So yes, it could have been that I was looking down and I might see it, but it was at the timing that I needed to know that.
So I told you I've been seeing dragonflies.
Yes, that's also.
But why? It would never be anything I would think my father would send would be a dragonfly.
Yeah,
a Mickey Mouse, a duck, I don't know. But why a dragonfly? I'm going to ask you.
I feel like he's saying, I want to see if you're paying attention. Mickey Mouse would have been too.
Mickey Mouse was easy, Dad.
Too obvious. That's exactly what he said. I feel that so strongly. Yeah, you'll be looking for Mickey Mouse. You're not looking for a dragonfly.
And since he's passed, they're just dragonflies. One flew into my house the other night.
That's the reason.
And it just sat on my wall.
Yeah,
I've never, this big, beautiful dragonfly, and then it actually landed on another wall, and then I went to pick it up, and it just hit my hand and flew outside.
Well, you're doing better than me. I'm just getting flies right now. Every time I sit down for a dinner, I have a fly flying around. So I've got the fly. Yeah, but that's a nice thing.
And then I pulled up this morning. There was one right outside my car, just one hovering.
He is. I mean, I always like to say there is no time, but there is a time period in which they rest. He didn't. He's raring to go. He's wanting to see you. That he wants to just let you know you're never going to forget him, and he knows that. But he just wants to let you know that he's around you. So I think there's a lady that just walked in,
That's
and
Sabrina.
I feel that I should.
That's Sabrina. I've met almost 12 years ago, maybe past.
Hi,
12
Sabrina.
Years ago. And Sabrina is known as Sabrina Whitefeather, White Horse.
White Horse.
Chief White
I'm talking about
Chief
White
White
Feather.
Chief
Okay.
White Horse. And if you want to talk about spirituality, I think she knows a couple of.
I know that because I mean, I've never met you, but that's why I was compelled to say something right now. I felt it immediately before I actually even saw you. Oh my gosh, I've got
Why don't we
goosebumps.
have Sabrina sit here? Why don't we take a quick commercial break, switch up the
reset
set a little bit,
Yeah,
Sally?
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
All right, then we'll be back.
Thank you.
A True Story, Call Me Zena is the telling of Sally Bernard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came into the U.S. in 1979. A mother of 2 and a grandmother of 4, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the 3rd dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest into art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed a paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she is able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life and direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today, authorhouse.com and amazon.com.
Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Bernard, and you can find my book at authorhouse and amazon.com or visit my art on my clothing in my boutique at artbysallybernard.com. Now back to the show. Hi, we're back, and I have a guest who I've just met, which is Sabrina. However, I don't feel like we've just met, and I feel that very strongly.
First of all,
now.
thank you. It's an honor to be on your show. I
Oh,
appreciate you so
thank you
much.
so
and
much.
yes, it does feel like we've known each other before. It's not
And
our
I
first
don't
encounter.
believe I've met you. Yes, I mean, I've been on in the studio on my show for nearly 3 years, but I've never met you.
Yeah, it's interesting because Freddie, I've known him for 12 years. I do a lot of philanthropy. And Freddie and I have known each other for another show that I was doing to help single mothers, and we donated cars.
Oh.
And so I haven't seen him in 12 years, and I was looking, because I rescue horses. So I was looking for a man by the name of Freddie that feeds horses. And I called, or I texted, and I think I called. And I said, I need some food for this Friday to feed the horses. And he goes, food for horses? That's not me. And so then I said, okay, thank you, click. And then I get a text from him, and he goes, this is Freddie from the television station and radio station. And it had been 12 years. So everything happens, I believe, and I know that I'm speaking with the right spirit to speak about this. Everything happens for a reason. For anybody out there, I think that if you do get symbols, and if you do get messaging, I call it messaging throughout the course of a day, there's always a rhyme, there's always a reason for that, and nothing happens by accident.
Absolutely, because I think a couple of weeks ago my show was, is it coincidence or synchronicity? So I'm very much a believer, but I have to mention this, and I don't believe that this is a coincidence. I don't know if you can get in touch with animals since you're doing. I loved my dog. I even said that. She passed away about 2.5 years ago, and she was a rescue, and her name was Sabrina.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I am nearly crying now.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
That's-
see, and so
I
that, and I
came
just
to
got
it,
the
and
chills
my
as
guide
well.
who was here, you don't know my story, I know, but he lived with me. He was renting a room from me, and he loved Sabrina. They both passed. He passed about 2.5 years ago
Oh my
too.
goodness.
So I don't believe that that is coincidence. That is synchronicity.
And that's exactly what I think you're talking about as well, is there's a rhyme, reason, and synchronicity for everything.
Yeah.
Years ago, it changed my life, this book. And it was all about, it's called The Celestine
Oh
Prophecy.
yeah, I read that.
Okay.
It was one of the first books
Me
I read.
too,
Oh,
me
my God.
too. It's a wonderful book for anybody out there that's really looking to understand.
My guide was from Peru. The one that
Okay.
was here who loved Sabrina. The
Well,
fact that you just brought that
the
up.
Celestine
it was in
Prophecy.
It's Peru.
Yeah, isn't that
It was
interesting
from
how
Peru.
life works? And
Yeah.
so that's the connection, one of the many, I
That's
believe, one
oh,
of the
yeah.
many
Yeah,
connections.
absolutely.
But that book really did change my life.
It did me too. It was the
Because,
first one I picked
and it's
up.
so simple, isn't it? It's a tiny
It's
little
a
book for
long
those of
time
you that
ago.
don't like to read.
It's about, I read it maybe about just before, actually before all these things. It's been over 20 years now that everything really started my journey. But that was the very first book that I picked up.
And I.
And
And
then,
I.
as far as the reincarnation, and I was just talking to my friend yesterday, the very first book I ever read on that was Out on a Limb with Shirley MacLaine.
Oh yes, that's
and
an old
Many
one.
Masters, Many Lives.
Brian
and
Weiss.
Brian Weiss.
So obviously, then you must have heard of Iris Saltzman.
Yes, I.
So
yeah,
Iris was a dear friend.
Crazy.
And Iris lived down here in South Florida. She's no longer in flesh, but she lived down here in South Florida. And she was the one that had guided Brian to write the books.
crazy, isn't it? And I just watched, I can't remember what it was called. It was a psychic, and it touched me so greatly because he was in between, the person that passed away by lightning, I can't remember the lady's name. She wrote a book, and he was in between two worlds. And this story, which I just saw, was, I don't know why I'm even mentioning that. Of course, there's lightning outside probably again today.
You know, it's interesting that you're talking about that
there has
because,
to be a reason.
well, so I was at the barn yesterday, and there was lightning, and there was somebody that got struck by lightning through another conduit or lack of, right? And so when you think about the power that we have in the ethers,
Right.
the power that we have around us, we have to learn how to not only tap into it, but respect it first, right?
Absolutely.
And so that power is so, words can't even express how strong it is.
It is. You know what I always say to people? It's there. It doesn't just pick one person and that one. We can all do this.
Connect, exactly.
Connect. And
Just
the
like
fact
we're
that just-
connecting.
Exactly. I mean, this conversation, if we hadn't done that, you could have been sitting there. I felt it because I'm able to do that, as you are too, with
Yes.
energy. But if we had never said anything, we wouldn't be having this wonderful conversation.
And I think it's in conversations
crazy.
that happens the communication, not only in conversation, obviously, is what you're saying. And
Right.
much respect to you, sister, for that, because conversation and communication creates a clarity or lack of,
It
right?
absolutely, yes.
But what I think you're saying is so profound, because what you're saying is that there is, out in the ethers, there's a frequency, there's a vibrational frequency. Nikola Tesla knew about it,
Of course it
right?
did.
But so many other great masters have known about it as well. And what's so wonderful about this conversation is that we're bringing it forth again. So for any listeners out there, dive a little bit deeper into this, because what she's talking about is just so profound, it's so real, and it's there right here in the now.
Absolutely, because it's all happening now anyway. But
Nothing
that's
else really
th-
exists.
th-
That's
That's
a whole other show.
Oh my God! Oh my goodness! Here. Oh my God! The same words.
Do you
the
see, for the
same
people
time.
that are out
you
there?
see how it happens? I have to tell you, Sabrina, though, how many people have I been sitting here that? But yours
There's
is.
a
I tell you,
connection.
I've met a lot. You're definitely the strongest. I feel this.
Oh,
so,
it's not about that.
No, it's this, with the energy here
Yes,
that we
my
have
beautiful
together.
sister. The beautiful thing is that I am simply a vessel.
Yeah, I think I may
And a
have said that
messenger.
wrongly. I didn't mean it from any ego or anything, but
Yes.
the actual vibrational energy.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Because it happened a second that you came in. Of course, we're at certain levels and you feel it, but as far as fastness, let's say it that, it was immediate.
You know what I love about her is your energy right now. You're
I don't
you're
even know.
sitting
I'm very
at the
unaware of it.
I love it.
I get
It's
very.
so
I really
beautiful.
don't know. I'm kind of in
And
a
what did I
trance.
say
but
to you
wouldn't-
before the cameras rolled? I said, "You're so beautiful."
Thank you.
Oh,
yeah,
you're
that was
absolutely
sweet,
welcome.
And you too.
It's a love
Feel
fest.
It is. It is.
And you know what the beautiful thing is? I was on the Navajo reservation because I do a lot of work with the Native
Oh my God,
Americans
so
in
you-
need.
Yeah, I
right?
love. Well, my guide is White Feather, which we were just talking about.
So I have somebody that calls me Feather. She calls me Feather for the longest time. That's my name. My name's not Spring. It's not White Horse. It's not Barnett. It's Feather. And she says the reason for it being is that there's so much spiritual growth and understanding and power with the feather, right?
Yeah, that's well. I associate it because I think he's telling me he's around. I'm finding feathers right now all over the place, white feathers. But
Yeah.
it's just a symbol. A lot of people do have feathers as symbols.
You know, it's interesting too, because it goes back to what you were talking about before at the beginning of this segment, is everything has a rhyme and everything has a reason. And the takeaway that I get from that is every second, every moment of the day, we have to live in the moment,
Yes.
but we also have to, and what you were saying, is we have to get the messaging. We have to see that if there's a butterfly or if there's a dragonfly or, you know, whatever that might be, a feather, that we have to just understand and heed a greater message is there for us. And it's up to us to
I
understand
was going to
that.
say it's up to us because we all get this. They don't pick on certain people. It's how we comprehend
Interpret it.
Interpret it. Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely, 100%. And that's really important. So even if just for my show alone, if I'm just opening people's mind a little bit by the stories of things that happen, like you're talking about, it's happened to you and to myself, it gives people, well, they're tuning in to hear something. But it just gives people a little bit, there is something different. There's something outside.
I want to add to what you're saying, too, because it's so beautiful. I don't know how much time we have here, because you and I could talk for forever. The frequencies that a 1,000-pound animal has, like a horse, the reason why I'm so connected to that is because they can feel a fly on their back, a fly, right? And all of a sudden they start twitching. They're so sensitive that they can also have a circumference, vibrational frequency, an understanding. They can feel up to 9 feet in circumference, and some people say up to 14, right? Which means that when you're in the presence of these noble animals, they have an ability to be able to understand and comprehend you without you speaking a word.
Right.
So even though you're saying, "Oh, you're so sweet," but if you're afraid, they're going to pick up.
Absolutely,
on
it's
that.
like people with dogs. If they're scared of it, a dog will sense that. So it's not just us. It's animals, absolutely. And I truly believe my little Sabrina is sitting right here.
Well, I hope so. I hope she's always.
She was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful dog. She never did anything wrong.
Aww.
She was a rescue dog. I had her at 2. She'd already had 3 pups, and she's so happy I'm talking about it right now because
isn't that
I'll live with
nice?
her. But anyway, that's
And you know, my
another
son
show.
taught me something that I want to share here. What does dog spell?
God.
I don't even have to finish a sentence with you.
So what I'm going to do is, if there's a question, but I usually work with questions. I am in a trance up to a point. I don't. Well, people that know my show, I work very well because I don't believe you listen to my show because you didn't know about
I'm
me.
innocently here, just sent by
But
spirit.
I've been doing this for nearly 3 years, and just so the audience knows too, which they do at this point, I work with questions. You can ask me anything. I do not want to know what it's about. The fact that we had this conversation was meant to be for sure. So I work
absolutely.
with questions, but I'm
totally taken by storm here. But no, it's fine. I love a storm because you know what? We are the storm. So let's see here. There's just so much, there's
it's
a
usually
plethora.
about what's in the universe. It's not so much a personal question.
Well, I got something related to you.
Oh, wonderful.
Well,
Thank
we've
you.
been talking over the weekend. Sabrina is, it's funny, 12 and 4 and another 4. And the other one was 6. There's a bunch of people in here that for whatever reason, there must be a time when these things should take place. But Sabrina is about to undertake a show that she's trying to put out there. And my question really is simple, is she's here, and I didn't know she was coming until about an hour ago, maybe 2 hours ago. And to talk about something totally different, and I forgot that we were doing your show. And then I see what's going on in here. So is this like a message?
I would think so. I mean, I don't have to be in a trance to be able to answer that. Absolutely, yes. It is. We had just been talking. I don't know if you heard part of the show before you came in, but we've been talking about the timing on things. And it's not just the synchronicity comes with timing. It's one of a similar thing because we can be thinking about something and you'll see a sign. I had an amazing, through Alexa, she answered a question from my guide who had passed. And I was paying him, I won't go into it because I had said it already, a lot of thanking him, how much he had taught me. And suddenly Alexa from nowhere says to me, "Thank you very much," yeah. So, I mean, that's how signs work too, you know. And then I turn on Gaia, which I listen to quite a bit, and they're talking about how the other side does work through electricity, which we know through other things too. So, okay, well.
But is Sabrina here as a message for me?
Yes, my answer is definitely yes.
What message would that be?
Well, this is not coincidental. So obviously, whatever you take from what's happening right now, it was meant to be this way, leading to a show. It may not necessarily be on this particular subject, but I feel very strongly that you walked in at the right time, at the right place. You can't deny that because, well, what we just even finishing a sentence just now. So these things happen. It's not all day long, but it will happen when the correct timing. So there's a reason that you're here. There's a reason that you feel I'm hoping you're feeling very comfortable at this point.
I love being here, absolutely.
And they are, which you know them, they're the greatest people. I've
Very,
been doing
very
this now
good
for nearly
people.
3 years, once a week. So I wouldn't still be here if I wasn't enjoying myself too.
100%.
So that's part of what the message was about, to see this show, to be sitting on my show as a guest. That was arranged somewhere up there.
Well, how
in the
would
big
people
unknown.
differentiate, Sally, between a coincidence that Sabrina had just happened to reach out to Freddie and a sign,
Accidentally.
No.
and a sign that
Are
she's
there
here
accidents?
for now?
There are no accidents. We know that. We've
I
talked
feed
about
horses
that.
all the time.
You were?
I feed
You
horses.
yes, but
I haven't fed a horse in my entire life.
doesn't matter. It was something that drew your attention to bring you in, for you to be there, for you, and for me to be sitting here too. I mean, I have no idea what part I play in this, but we've come together for that reason.
Well, and that's really interesting because your humility is so grand. You have no idea. I have no idea, but I have a greater sense, a greater knowing, right, that I'm tapping into right now. And yes, he's never fed a horse before. And yes, I mistook him for another Freddie. But are there really mistakes, is I think the
No,
message here, right?
And definitely not, because we're bringing it out in the open. For instance, that lady that you knew, that I had, she bought some things from me, and we needed to contact each other. She was an energy healer or something. I did not know that, but
She was another 12-year.
there you go. And I was talking to her about a product, something that I was selling. That wasn't a coincidence. I didn't know what she had some idea what I'd done. I think she had listened to my
Well,
show
she
one time.
watches your show.
Yes, but it wasn't coincidence. I said, you forget what it was about. That's okay. We'll get that corrected. But it was more that I needed to talk with her. That wasn't coincidence. We had a great rapport for a little while,
And it's funny because we went on the shoot on Friday, and Sabrina came with us to Sinful Crepes, and you were in New York.
Yes, that's right.
So it didn't happen at that moment.
And possibly it would have done, because I come to most of the shows that you do.
You come
but
to
because I
practically all of
wasn't
them,
there, it still works out. And that's a great way to explain that, because
You
that's
know, it's
exactly
wonderful
what's
too
happening.
because it worked out in such a divine way, because now it worked out where we can share this connection
right.
and this divine appointment with your viewers.
Absolutely.
And that is a lesson right there, isn't it? That's the message.
Just took the words out of my mouth. Absolutely.
Oh,
that
that's
would,
so pretty.
If we had, I don't like to plan my show at all, and they know that. I don't want to know any questions, because the way it comes to me, it's validation for my viewers and validation for myself. So none of this was planned, but we couldn't. They say planned it even. We couldn't have planned this.
Words can't even express it. When it
no.
happens, it happens, and it's so powerful.
It's very powerful. And I always say anyone can do this. It may not be their timing for whatever reason, and timing is, which we had been talking about, very important. There is no time, actually, but to use it as we are here.
It's a human condition, is what I like to say.
Exact, beautiful. Words were great.
Well, I'm going to
there.
give you more human conditions, more craziness. So the full moon was yesterday. And Merlin, Daphne, who happens to be an OG with us 10 years, that Dawn introduced me to, she contacts me. And she wanted to know about certain things, who certain people were and what have you. And she told me that Pisces is entering something or another yesterday.
Saturn returned back to Pisces.
Hello, whatever that means. So I said to her, okay, what does that mean? So I get a text, I get a phone call from my original OG before Dawn, original, going back 20 years, co-host, Rosemary. And she's coming to town and she wants to come on the set. And I said, wow, this is really freaky.
Well, you see how you're talking 12 years. The lady that I spoke to the other day was
That's
12.
Lorena.
Yes, Lorena.
Lorena was with me when she was with me.
But somehow she was meant to talk to me too, because there's this scenario going on where I'm not sure exactly the reasons right now, but we don't have to, as long as we recognize that, because it's energy too. We attract who we're meant to see
That's exactly
at the right time in our lives. I could have met you maybe 25. Well, I mean, I'm old. You're nowhere near my age, I don't think. But let's say 25 years ago, it wouldn't have meant what it means today. But it's the energy, and when we're ready, it appears, right?
And that's beautiful because you said when we're ready. I think that it's it's an education to be ready, but it's also a wisdom. It's
in
being
age, it's not
open.
into the scenario.
It's being
actually.
open to that opportunity of exactly what you're just saying. And what a great show you have, because so many people are not talking about this. And it's a conversation I think we need to have on a platform like this, where we can actually get the messaging out to as many people as possible. And maybe they can share your show with other people, right?
Yeah, we get a lot of shares. People listen, and I can have like quite a lot of shares on the particular. So
that's
more and more
beautiful.
people are adding to the.
Sabrina, are you Native American?
I am, yeah.
Do you feel a deeper connection through your spirit as being Native American? Have you always had a gift? Or have you
Well,
acquired more
so
of a
that's a
gift?
great question, because when I was a little girl, I used to see what I say past the skin, right? And I always thought everybody did, and everybody can, but not many people do, if that's a bit bizarre. But so I grew up with a greater knowing. I could walk into a room and I could feel, looking at the people, I could feel who's with me.
That's right.
I could feel who's against me, and I could feel why. The ones that are usually with you are the ones that are very confident and comfortable with inside their skin. And so the spirit that's lie within and their guides are of a greater wisdom. And I sit stronger and I sit more up, because that is an anointing that we all have, but very few of us understand the power of the question that you asked me just now. So as a Native woman growing up as a little girl, I felt that, Dawn. I felt it. I would walk into that room and I just know. And for the audience out there, you have it too. Empower yourself to know that it's not just me sitting here and lifting myself up in this chair. We all have it. We all have it. We just need to be able to be confident enough to know how to access it. And so it's shows like this that allow you to have that greater, like just a breath of fresh air, knowing that you can step into that divine presence.
And it's, as a child, I didn't know other people. A lot of people have it, but they don't know they have it, as you're just saying. But I even used to sense if someone had come into my bedroom, everything would be in place. But I said to myself, someone's been in here. Of course, I really didn't understand exactly, because I was still just a little girl. But
And it's really hard too, because I can empathize with you in this space in which we live, the three-dimensional space. It's hard to even talk about it, because a lot of people don't understand it, and so it's not woo-woo. We're not talking woo-woo here. We're talking real. We're
the
talking
good thing about this show is when they tune in, they have some idea.
Understanding.
If we were just
Brilliant.
talking all over the place, and it was other subjects, but at least the viewers, especially because I know I have a lot of viewers that listen every week, they're ready to hear something that might not be the norm. It is
Right.
the norm, but people don't know that it's the norm
That's
until they
right.
hear it. So it's important. It's very important for shows, mine, but many, many others too, just to give a message that there is more to what we are and who we are. I was woken up, it's a long story, there was no way I could deny it, because I became an artist overnight. I'd never painted anything in my life. But not only was I painting, I was drawing from centuries ago, things, signs and symbols that I didn't even know that I knew. So to me, I couldn't close my eyes to that and say, well, there is nothing else. I was obviously taking my time for this to come to me, but when it did, it came. And I'm not alone with that. Many, many people just listening now that might be tuning in for the first time are probably saying, you know what, maybe I need to look a little bit more and listen to a little bit more.
Let
of
me
what's
ask
going
you,
on.
did you nurture your gift through your mother and maybe your grandmother?
That's a good question, because my mother, for the longest time, didn't really understand. Again, you can come through someone, your mother, but yet have completely different understandings from a spiritual perspective, right? So I would be able to, as I grew older, I started being able to know that when somebody didn't like me, I was at first really hurt by it, because I'm extremely empathic and I'm very sensitive to things, right? And that's one of the blessings, but it's also
Dawn
in this
and I are
world,
both
it's also something that you have to say, oh gosh, you know, that's a tough one. That's a tough rock to stand on. Or sand, sometimes it's quicksand, right? But what's the beautiful thing about this for anybody out there is you get to a point where you say, I'm standing on a rock, because the rock is part of who I am, the I am, right? So that pushed me into doing a t-shirt collection back in 2009 called the I Am Lovable Tees. And it was, I am unique, I am beautiful, I am worthy, I am special, I make a difference. And these are things that I had to grow through. I had to go through it, to grow through it, to understand that we all have it. But even as I grew up as a model, since the age of 13, where I got paid for the way that I look, you would think that model car, model society, you're confident, but yet some of the most insecure people I ever knew came from that background. And so I had to grow through it to really understand the power that we all have inside each and every single one of us. But it's because of my native wisdom that I was able to do that, because I tapped into it so early on. And some of us can tap into it later, you know, like we talked, time is a human condition.
Well, actually, I had this from birth, but I just never knew. And the more
Was your
I would-
mom? Was your mom?
My parents were very much, because I used to hear, I thought they were talking to me in my sleep. I'd say, you're waking me up all the time, but they weren't. So they were very aware that I was hearing things, but they never discouraged it. So I never really talked about it with them. But up to that point, they would tell me, look, my mother did go to psychics, but that we never had long conversations, and my voice goes again, always on this show. Strange, but it's okay, it's coming back now. So it's my timing was obviously, I knew this, but I didn't know that I knew it. And then I had to get really woken up, like I'd go like this, be hit in the head. Look, you can suddenly draw. Look, you're drawing from things from centuries ago.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Thank you.
That's what I love on my show. Yeah.
I would love to ask you, when you were growing up, was there anybody in your immediate sphere of influence that maybe made you feel like your gift was not relevant?
I know, because I really didn't. I don't think people understood me. That's what I can say.
That's
Yes.
what I'm feeling.
I didn't
That's it.
understand me, because I felt different. Though I had friends, I was always like a nonconformist. I used to say the word, I'm a nonconformist,
Right.
when I was this high.
Which set you apart.
But I didn't even know
Right.
what it meant. But I went to a boarding school, and I was on detention, which I brought up a lot, because I said, I can't help it, I'm a nonconformist. But if you'd asked me, I didn't know. But all these little signs eventually came into what I'm understanding, because I've only started my journey too. But I have made a point of, there is no way other than the way I live now. This is what I am and who I am, and I love it. But I didn't know that. It took someone else in physicality, who was my guide and who knew me from previous lives, to enter my life. I may go into a little bit of the story just so viewers know. I went to bed one night, and I never knew anything about astral projection. I did, but I didn't know that I knew. And I had this dream that I was flying all over the place. And in that dream, I think it was the second or third one, someone said, go and get some crayons and start to paint. Well, this is 20 years ago, and I remember every single thing from that dream. And I did it for a year after that. I was flying everywhere. But someone entered my life. I was at work, but I couldn't do what I was doing that well. This is still all on my mind. And I get up, and someone comes up to me. It was a big place with a lot of people there. And this gentleman goes like this on my shoulder. And he'd been working with me for a year, but we'd never spoken. And I had just had this flying dream. I had no idea where I was. And he said, I know exactly where, well, his words were, I know where you were last night. And I looked at him and I said, I'm still there, but I didn't know it. I said, how can you know? I don't even know where I was myself. And he proceeded to tell me every single detail of my dream. Well, if that didn't, I was disturbed by it, but we became, he was in my life for 17, 18 years. There wasn't a day that he didn't teach me something. He was very knowing. He understood a lot and had known me. but I learned so much during that period because something had to wake me up that I could not deny. And I'm scribbling, forgetting I had that message. And today, these are all my pieces of art. I have
I was
about
looking at
100
that. Very, very
They're different,
colorful
and
and
this was later on. I was
unique.
just doing sketches in the beginning, which are in my book actually, of previous lifetimes. And one was one of the lives that I had been with this gentleman, Aldo, we were really good friends. And I was describing the rooms that I had where I was centuries ago, what it looked like. Since he was in that life and he understood so much more, he never led me. I had to ask him something, then he would confirm it. He didn't say, "Did you see that?" The way he taught me was amazing. And there's no way I could deny at that point. And he said, "You knew all this, only you didn't know that you knew it." So
And that's interesting because I come from an understanding that you know because you know.
You know, because, yes, I feel like I want to
And
say
I
that.
feel like you knew,
I did.
but then again, what happened to you growing up and the belief systems, there was a block there.
Yes, he told me it was dormant. I'd had this
Yes.
not the last life, but the one before that. I knew even more than what I knew when I knew him. He said, "I'm beyond what you're knowing and recalling now, because how am I drawing things that I..."
It was coming out through the art.
Yeah,
and
so
art
you-
is creativity,
you-
which
and
is spiritual.
To me, it was just, he's showing me from centuries ago some of my signs and symbols that I've never seen in this lifetime. But because we have the internet, he didn't say go in. I'd show him the painting or drawing, and then he said, "Well, go in and look." He didn't say look for that. So I would go in and see exactly what I had drawn from my mind.
It's interesting because the internet could be used for good.
Yes.
And it can also be used for not good. So we have our free will and our choice, right?
Exactly.
But when you looked at what it was that your creative hand was moving you to do, and then you saw the symbolisms, and I think that's so important is symbolism, is you are understanding so much about your past lives, so much about yourself through your art.
Well, actually, even through this show, because I've been doing this now for quite a few years, and I don't know, which I don't know that I know, but you can ask me and they can tell you any question. I don't want to know it, but I know I'm going to have the answer.
Right.
It's not from ego, oh, I know everything, because I certainly don't. But somehow I am able to have tapped into something.
I have
that
a question for you.
Yes, I love
And
the question.
It's along what Freddie was asking is, he was asking it from his perspective. What am I doing here?
Oh, that's going to be another show, but you know what? It will reveal itself. Absolutely. You can see that this is not coincidence in any way whatsoever. I mean, I knew someone was standing over there and I could feel the energy, but I could feel your energy. And then the name Sabrina, I jokingly said, but I think it was true that Sabrina was
brought you to tears,
Yes,
yeah, with your dog.
Absolutely. I don't remember my show until I watch it, and I'll remember episodes, parts of what I've said. But yeah, I believe that Aldo, who was my guide here, he loved Sabrina. I mean, he used to read to her for hours. This dog was a spiritual dog. Dogs are advanced too in some ways, and she just would lay there and take it all in. So, and he used to joke, when I get to meet her, she's not leaving my side. So they both
Think
did.
about how smart dogs are, right? When you said dogs are very spiritual. They have us walking them 3 times a day.
That's
They
right.
have us taking care and picking up and doing whatever we have to do for the dogs.
That's right.
Going out and making sure that they're fed well, and making sure that if we go on vacation or something, we either take the dog with us or
Yep.
we make sure that they have
Yep.
a doggy
Yeah,
hotel.
that's right. Yeah. No, they do. They know what they're doing.
What they do.
Absolutely. As most animals,
Exactly.
but especially dogs. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
that's interesting. Yeah.
There we go.
Oh my
saying
God!
the
I
same
didn't even
words again.
realize that you said that.
Now that's an echo.
I didn't even realize. So, do we have a little bit longer?
I'm not quite sure how to help you.
And it begins again. How many we got?
3 more minutes.
Yeah, that
That's what I'm. Oh, it does,
That's
but it never happens in my house.
interesting.
And I suddenly go, thank you. Yes.
She's
No,
in
but I
this-
mean, that's how the whole conversation started. We have 3 minutes.
It's your frequency.
So Alexa wants to know how they can help you.
How
So I
they-
guess they're asking how they can help you, your guides, Sally.
Just by continuing being around me. This is great. And just this little circle here. We're I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing because they certainly helped me, but thank you for helping me. And she's going to say something in a minute like she did in my house.
How do people get your book?
Okay, this is where I have a problem because I have to bring myself back. No, go on to Amazon. My book is on Amazon. It's also on Author House, which is my publisher. Call Me Zena by Sally Bernard. And I actually have illustrations of some of my artwork in here. My guide, Aldo, who we were talking about, has interpreted some of my drawings in here. That's one that he was interpreting. So go in, you can get the ebook. You can still pull the drawings, I believe, up on an ebook because you can see it. So if you don't want the hard copy, it's right there and it's very easy to get. So Call Me Zena by Sally Bernard. And the good thing is I have my show every week on a Monday. And if you're listening, not necessarily on a recording, but if you're listening live today, if you see something in the book, I'm here to answer it because I work with questions.
And Steve wrote, sitting here delayed at the airport in Fort Wayne, you and I are always seeing signs as we're driving on the road, like initials on license plates or cars that our parents used to drive. Please explain where the signs come from because it is not a coincidence.
Okay, so I don't know. Steve is my husband who's on air.
This sign he's stuck at the airport.
Yes, I don't know if he listened to most of the show because we kind of been discussing about the signs, but I know that, Steve, and I know you're still in the airport since early this morning, and it's going to be midnight when you return. So,
What day?
Yeah, he hasn't got to Charlotte yet. Okay, so we were talking about that. So if you weren't listening then, go back into the recording because we were trying to make, well, I'm not going to say sense because none of this, if you don't believe it, which I know you do believe some of this, it doesn't make sense, but it does make sense. And I think that's a good way to close the show. Just don't ignore. Sometimes go into it a little deeper. You'll be so surprised what you can find. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you all next week. Hopefully tune in at the same time. I'm in the same place. You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Bernard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at 2:30. Have a blessed day.